The air inside the first-class cabin of Meridian Skyways was crisp with quiet elegance, gleaming leather seats, sparkling glasses of champagne, hushed conversations wrapped in wealth and exclusivity. But that refined atmosphere shattered the moment a flight attendant stepped forward, blocking the path of a woman in a simple yet graceful navy dress. "Ma'am," said the attendant, her voice laced with unspoken judgment, "I believe there's been a mistake. This area is reserved for first-class passengers only." The woman paused, her fingers gently adjusting the silver watch on her wrist, an anniversary gift from her husband, the same one who had encouraged her to take this flight alone. "You deserve every ounce of luxury," he had said that morning, just before being whisked away for an urgent business meeting. Her name was Alina Morales. At 35, she exuded quiet confidence. But as she held out her first-class boarding pass, eyes turned toward her, some with confusion, others with poorly masked disdain. A man in a tailored Armani suit peered over his newspaper, his cufflinks glinting as he muttered, "They're letting anyone up here these days." The attendant, Heather Coleman, as her name tag declared, took the ticket with the cautious fingers of someone picking up a stray napkin on the sidewalk. Her perfectly manicured nails trembled slightly, though not from fear, more from the thrill of quiet condescension. "There must be some error in the system," Heather said, lips pursed. She studied the boarding pass from different angles like it was counterfeit money. Her expression never shifted from skeptical. Alina remained calm, but she could feel the heat rise to her cheeks. She had been here before, in spirit, looked over, second-guessed, sized up by her appearance. But not like this. Never in a setting this public, this humiliating. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in the rear section," Heather added, with an insincere smile that screamed you don't belong here. "My husband specifically booked this seat for me," Alina said with quiet resolve. Her tone was even, her posture straight, though her heart beat harder than usual. Years ago, she had worn a similar uniform herself. Back then, she had prided herself on treating every passenger with dignity, whether they wore diamonds or denim. "A lot of people say that," scoffed a woman seated across the aisle, her voice dipped in sarcasm. "Next you'll tell us he owns the airline." More laughter. Discreet, cruel, infectious. Alina inhaled deeply. She touched the cool metal of her watch again, grounding herself in memory. In her previous life as a flight attendant, she'd earned accolades for her skill and dedication. That was before she met Leo Morales, a man she served coffee to in 3A during an evening flight to San Diego. That flight had changed everything that a stern-faced cabin manager approached. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step off the aircraft while we resolve this situation." Alina's eyes flicked across the cabin. Cold stares. Awkward glances. A young man in a business suit whispered something to his colleague. A woman in a sapphire necklace frowned, arms crossed. Alina stood her ground. "My ticket is valid. I belong here." Heather crossed her arms. "Security protocols, ma'am. We can't have just anyone sitting in this section without proper verification." The phrase, "just anyone," hung in the air like smog. Then the cabin door reopened that he stepped in. Leo Morales. 6'2". Calm. Commanding. Wearing a tailored navy suit that hugged his frame with effortless precision. There was no need for an introduction. His presence did the speaking. His salt and pepper hair was neatly cut. His posture relaxed but resolute. He scanned the cabin like a general assessing a battlefield. And then his eyes landed on Alina. "Is there a problem?" Leo's voice was deep and controlled, but there was an unmistakable undertone, like distant thunder. Heather froze. The cabin manager's confidence evaporated as he stammered. "Sir, we're just addressing a small seating issue." Leo began walking down the aisle slowly, each step echoing authority. Passengers leaned back instinctively, giving him space. "That's my wife's seat," he said, stopping beside Alina. 2A, correct? "Your wife." Heather's complexion lost all color. Whispers rippled through the cabin. "Yes. Alina Morales. And unless something's changed, we still own this airline." The silence that followed was deafening. Heather's mouth opened, but no sound came out. She clutched the boarding pass like it might save her job. I see, Leo said, nodding slowly. So what was the confusion? Was it her attire? Her skin tone? Or simply that she didn't meet your definition of belonging? The cabin manager looked like he might faint. Mr. Morales, we didn't know, but you assumed, Leo interrupted, his gaze fixed on Heather. Do you usually humiliate your guests before checking your systems? Sir, I sincerely apologize. Leo raised his hand. The manager fell silent immediately. I don't want an apology. I want change. He pulled out his phone and typed rapidly. As of now, he announced without looking up, all Meridian Skyway's crew will undergo anti-discrimination and sensitivity training. Effective immediately, he finally looked at Heather. You'll lead the first session. Heather's knees visibly buckled. Leo turned back to the cabin manager. As for the open position we discussed, the new director of guest experience, I believe my wife is uniquely qualified. If she wants it. Alina looked up at him, stunned. You never mentioned. It was supposed to be your anniversary gift, he said softly. I thought you might miss the skies. And I trust you more than anyone to fix what's broken. Alina blinked. She hadn't expected this. Her years on the ground had been fulfilling, but part of her had always missed the rhythm of the cabin, the challenge, the connection. Leo addressed the entire cabin next. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. To make up for it, champagne is complimentary throughout the flight. Then, leaning toward Heather, he added, make sure my wife receives the level of service she once gave to others. Your future here depends on it. Heather nodded weakly. The woman who once stood like a gatekeeper now looked like a shadow of herself. Service resumed. Eyes that once judged Alina now averted theirs in quiet shame. Hours later, on the balcony of a private resort suite overlooking the Pacific, Leo and Alina shared a quiet glass of wine. The ocean glowed gold in the fading sun. I didn't plan to crash your flight, Leo chuckled. Could have fooled me. Alina replied with a smile. You really know how to make an entrance. They sat in companionable silence, the sea breeze soft against their skin. I've always tried to avoid using your name to get ahead, she admitted. I wanted to be seen for who I am, not Mrs. Morales. And you have been, Leo said firmly. The charity event you organized raised more funds than any in our history. You've done more without my name than most could do with it. Alina touched her watch, feeling the warmth of memory. Still, I sometimes miss being part of the crew. The sense of purpose. Leo nodded. Then take the position. Not as a favor. As a leader. Alina looked at him, her heart full. You really believe I'm ready? I've never stopped believing. She smiled, her voice barely above a whisper. Then maybe it's time I believe it too. They clinked their glasses, the moment rich not in luxury, but in understanding. Across the world, people are misjudged every day by how they look, what they wear, or where they come from. Alina's story is not unique in its pain, but in its resolution. Because in that first-class cabin, someone remembered what true class looks like, not in appearance, but in how we treat each other. So, if you've ever felt underestimated, misjudged, or dismissed, remember this. You are more than what they see. And sometimes, the quietest voice belongs to the most powerful person in the room.